So as we wait for the rest of our community to join us in just a moment, we might need to have one more song, but I'll let you know in a second. So I've been thinking a lot about the month of Kislev, which started just before last Shabbat. And certainly when we change the clocks, it feels a whole lot darker, right? Literally, the sky is darker. And Kislev is the month with the shortest days and the darkest nights. And so it gives us a moment each Shabbat as we bring in light. We literally are bringing forth light to just pause for a moment as we think through our week in whatever way it was spent. What ways in which were there moments of light? However it is that we're defining light in this moment. Whatever it is we need to fill our hearts and to fill our souls, whatever ways we awakened that sense of spirit, wakening that sense of darkness to move us to a space of light. I hope that we can think for ourselves for just a moment. If I close my eyes, I might miss the cue, but if we think ourselves for just a moment, the ways in which we reflected that inner light, that inner warmth, that inner spirit, and in that way we can extend it to light the Shabbat candles when we do so in just a moment. So can we find another nigun to lead us into that space?
Lai 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 lai. One more time, really slowly. Lai 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 lai.
And so we begin with lighting our Shabbat candles. So I'd like to invite Glenda Ganem forward to light our Shabbat candles this week. So as we join together as one community, I invite you to turn to page 130 as we begin with words of Kabbalat Shabbat, Psalm 95. L'chu naranana, come, let us sing joyously, sing with praise to God.
The beautiful thing is that we can enjoy that joyful praise at a fast tempo and at a slow tempo. And I actually, I heard us on Zoom, we were going a little fast, bringing in that Shabbos excitement, and I heard it was a little bit slower and chill here in the sanctuary. So we'll meet in the middle. Sound good, Rabbi? Lechu neranena l'Adonai, lechu neranena l'Adonai, nariya l'tzor yishenu nekadma v'anav b'toda. L'tzor yishenu nekadma v'anav b'toda. B'zmirot nariya lo. Lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena l'Adonai. Nariya l'tzor yishenu nekadma v'anav b'toda. Nariya l'tzor yishenu nekadma v'anav b'toda. B'zmirot nariya lo, b'zmirot nariya lo, b'zmirot nariya lo.
Let us join together on page 138 as we welcome Shabbat with Beloved, come to meet the bride. Beloved, come to greet Shabbat. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat mekabala.
Shamor v'zachor b'diborecha.
Keep and remember a single command.
Hishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shem תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי כי בעורף קומי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
Sanctuary, I invite you to rise and face the back of the sanctuary. If you're at home, I invite you to stand or sit with more intention and purpose, welcoming the Shabbat presence into our midst.
בואי ושלום עצרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה הולך דודי לקראת כלה או פני שבת נקבלה הולך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה פני שבת
I invite you to be seated. We turn to page 152. As we join together in words of Shema, we can allow the breath that is warm, feeling a sense of that light, igniting and warming that breath that allows us to praise God's name with these words.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Turn to page 161, and we join together with interpretive words of Hashkivenu, let there be love. And I was thinking today that with the wind and the storm and the leaves blowing around, it almost feels like you're within this storm in a different kind of way. And so I find joy in that we come together on Shabbat for peace and friendship and community to give us a sense of comfort and shelter amidst all of that storm around us. Let's join together.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu Leshalom V'ha'amidenu Shomreinu Lechayim Ufros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha Hashkivenu
Hashkivenu
Adonai Eloheinu
Eloheinu
Hashkivenu
Leshalom.
Leshalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu Leshalom. Let there be love. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
This week in our Torah, we read the moment when Jacob, who is on the run, falls asleep in the midst of the wilderness, has a dream. He dreams of angels moving up and down a ladder, and when he wakes, he cries out, Ma norah hamakom hazeh, how awesome is this place? This must be a Beit Elohim, a house of God. In that moment, Jacob was able to open his lips, and just this moment of realization of divine connection erupts from his heart. And as we turn to the Amidah, to our standing prayer, we begin with words that ask us, God, give us that chance to just open our mouths and let that moment of divine encounter happen. Let us connect to you. Let us connect. Let us reach into our hearts, find that moment where we connect to something that just makes us go, how awesome is this life? We rise together, page 164, Adonai Sfatah.
Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Fi Yagid Tehilatecha Adonai Sifatai Tiftach Fi Yagid Tehilatecha Open up our lips so we may praise your name. Open up our hearts so we can feel our pain. Open up our souls so let our love make us whole, and we will praise.
We will praise.
Your name, Adonai,
Adonai,
Sifatai Tiftach, Fi Yagid Tehilatecha.
מתי תפתח. ופי יגיד תהילתך.
We continue with the words of our own prayers.
In the sanctuary, when you're ready, let's be seated. Of course, this week we observed Veterans Day. So at this time, we thought it would be most appropriate to continue with a prayer for those who serve in our military. And then following, we'll join together in Oseh Shalom.
ריבונו של עולם, ריבונו של עולם, אנו קוראים לברכתך על חיילי צבא ארצות הברית, הנשים והגברים, האמיצים שגבורתם ומסירותם למדינתנו מגינה על כולנו. ריבונו של עולם, ריבונו של עולם, יותר מכל נושאים תפילה, שיזכו לשוב בשלום במהרה ובבריאות טובה למשפחותיהם ולארצם. Whether by air, land, or sea, wherever their orders take them, we ask, dear God, that they be protected within your sheltering presence. ריבונו של עולם, ריבונו של עולם, ריבונו של עולם. We also ask that the one who creates peace in the high heavens create peace for us, for all who dwell on this earth. Words of Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So we're going to do something a little differently this evening than we've done in past Shabbats, and that is because we have a special naming this evening of Sydney, and we want to see the naming on Zoom. We're going to gather our communities together. So I brought my computer up so I can see our community on Zoom, and we're going to sing Mi Sheberach together. And so I'm going to ask Rabbi Harper and Rabbi Sherman to join me here so that they can acknowledge those in the sanctuary who are thinking of people in need of healing, of body, of mind, of soul. And if you'd like to recite their name, we invite you to rise in the sanctuary, and as they acknowledge you, if you can recite their names aloud. And I'd like to look in on Zoom, so I'm going to turn my video on. Hopefully you can find me in the sanctuary, in the boxes, and invite everyone on Zoom to use the chat room below to record the names of those individuals they're thinking of at this time. And then listening to the names in the sanctuary and seeing the names on Zoom, we continue with the words of Mi Sheberach, asking for strength and healing for those we love.
Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
And of course, each week we also thank God for those sacred moments we've shared during the past week, God-given times. And on Zoom, we invite people to recognize themselves by raising a hand. And so, if you have celebrated a birthday this past week, if you'll raise your hand so that we can acknowledge the birthdays and everyone's happy birthday. Your father's 95th. And on Zoom, I see hands raised. Another birthday.
And I'm
yes.
really excited. I have been asked, I see her with her party hat on. Clara Stern turned 7 years old today. So happy birthday, Clara.
I saw them at their table, yes. How about anniversaries? Any anniversaries in the sanctuary? I know on Zoom I see Carol, and we want to announce the engagement of Bradley Starr, son of Tony and Kathy, to Amanda Gaynor. So mazel tov to you. Any anniversaries in the sanctuary? How about any firsts in the sanctuary? Lost teeth on Zoom? How about experience something new this week? Raise your hand. Well, lots to celebrate, and we have a naming to celebrate as well.
We
Sekanter?
sure do, Rabbi. Thank you. So Jennifer and Scott and Sydney Schwartz, I'd love for you to come forward and join me on the lectern at this moment, at the bima here. We are so excited to celebrate with you tonight. We also want to welcome you. They are some of our newest members to our community. So for those of you who are here in person, I encourage you to come and introduce yourselves and say hello to Jennifer, Scott, and to Sydney. We celebrate Sydney receiving her Hebrew name tonight, a process in which she participated and took very seriously. And so in a moment, you're going to hear her name chanted in Hebrew, and then we'll translate that into English. And we'll also hear from Jennifer and Scott and Sydney, which is a unique thing as to the significance of her chosen Hebrew name. Sydney, we pray that you embrace and feel the embrace of TBE as you continue to grow in mind, body, and spirit with our community. This precious child, with whom these parents have been blessed, has brought much light into their lives. May God's radiance continue to shine upon them. May Sydney continue to be a source of light to all those around her. May her radiance illuminate the world. May the light of Torah and mitzvot shine in her deeds, and may she help bring the light of redemption to the world. So listen carefully. We're going to announce her name. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, kayem et hayalda hazot, le'aviha ul'ima, vayikare shema b'Yisrael, Sapira Levia bat Gaduladina v'Shmuel Yisrael, Yismacha av b'yotzei chalatzav, v'tagel imo b'fri vitna, Zot hakatana gedola tiyeh, כשם שנכנסה לברית, כן תיכנס לתורה ולחופה ולמעשים טובים. Which means our God, God of our ancestors, sustain this child through her parents' loving care. Let her be known among our people Israel by the name Sapira Levia. May her name be a source of joy to her and inspire her to serve our people and all humankind. May her parents rejoice in her growth of body and soul, as they have brought her into the covenant. So may they, with wisdom and patience, lead her to a life filled with Torah, the blessing of learning and community, chuppah, a loving relationship worthy of God's blessing, and ma'asim tovim, the pursuit of good deeds. Together we say, Amen. And so will the three of you come up and speak right into this microphone so we can hear how you chose your name and what it means to you? Thanks, Philip.
I think that I'm the only one who's actually going to talk, okay? And, sorry. And I will not be able to do it without crying, sorry. Right into it, okay? Okay. Our dearest Sydney, sorry. Most babies, when they get their Hebrew name, have no idea what it means, let alone what's going on around them. How exciting that this is not the case for you and that you were the one who chose your name. It was no surprise to us when you chose the name Sapira, which means sapphire. When I hear sapphire, I think of the universe and you, Sydney, our sun, our moon, and our stars. You are our world. And Levia as your middle name, which means lioness, but of course, our true lover of animals. Did you know that tomorrow, your 10th birthday, is World Kindness Day? And it's so appropriate because you are incredibly kind, warm, and empathetic. You are a wonderful, caring friend. You care about all living creatures. You care about your environment and the world we live in. So tomorrow, in honor of your exciting double-digit birthday, we all pledge to make it a year of kindness. Sydney, on this very special occasion, we wish you a lifetime of love, joy, and happiness. We wish you good health. We wish that the obstacles that get in your way are small and easy to overcome. We wish that you find love and that there will be someone special in your life who knows how wonderful you are and you enjoy a lifetime together. We wish you success in school and work and every project you tackle. We wish you good fortune. We wish you all good things. Our sun, our moon, and our stars, we love you.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. So we here have a certificate of your naming. I'm going to give it right there, a brand new certificate. We're going to ask you to come with us up to the ark so I can offer you one
So in the
final
sanctuary,
blessing.
let's all rise as we open up the ark and ask for God's blessing upon Sydney as she has now received her Hebrew name, which we hope will follow you in moments of great celebration.
So come a little bit closer. Yivarechecha
Adonai v'yishmerecha.
And I'm going to have your mom and dad place a hand on your shoulder. May God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God shine down upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. V'yasem lecha.
And throughout life's journey, may you always be blessed with love and support and a life of wholeness, of peace, of shalom. And let us all say,
Amen.
And for all these things, for new names, for birthdays in the sanctuary and on Zoom, for bat mitzvahs, anniversaries, we give thanks to God with the words of Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. We say Amen.
So Shabbat Shalom. Can you hear me through the mic? Great. So this week we read from the section of the Torah entitled Vayetze. Many of its words are actually inscribed on our temple building. As you pull up, you notice them, and alongside the words there is a column of glass that protrudes from the window, changing its shape and color, in order to evoke a ladder, known as Jacob's ladder in our text, the subject of our portion this evening. And as many of you know who have been hanging around here for a while, this is also the portion that marks the anniversary of my bar mitzvah so many years ago, when I was called to ascend the bima and read those very words that are on our building today, the words that contain Beth Elohim. But I remember it well at my bar mitzvah. I remember my paternal grandmother, who I've spoken about before. I called her Bubby. My Bubby worked as a manicurist in Philadelphia, and the night before my bar mitzvah, she gave me my first shave without shaving cream, a shave I'll never forget. I remember her husband, my Zadie, a bus driver in Philadelphia who would drive the Philadelphia to Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh to Philadelphia line. He may have never gotten past the 4th grade, but I'm told that he was incredibly smart, kind, and compassionate. He died of a heart attack on Miami Beach long before I read from the Torah. But in so many ways, he was there too that day. And then I remember my maternal grandfather. In Philadelphia, we call those pop-ups. So my pop-up, he would tell me stories of building a small business, moving from labels on women's hosiery to iron-on transfers on inexpensive T-shirts. And then there was my grandmother, who followed his movements every step of the way. I remember the two of them dancing at my bar mitzvah. They were amazing dancers. It was as though once they took the dance floor, they were teenagers back in Harlem, swinging to the sounds of Cab Calloway. And I'd listen to them, my grandparents at the kitchen tables in Broward County or Miami Beach, hearing of their sacrifices. One lost a business, another a child, but they lived their lives stage by stage, rung by rung, always knowing how to celebrate, especially at bar mitzvahs. Vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheva, I read from the text, rubbing my upper lip from that uncomfortable shave. Vayetze Yaakov, and Jacob set out from Beersheba and left from Haran. He came upon a place for the night, the Torah tells us, for the sun had set. And taking one of the stones of that place, he placed it under his head. And he lay down in that place. And he dreamed. He dreamed of a ladder that was set on the ground and ascended to heaven. A ladder. I don't think I focused on the ladder that day in my Devar Torah, but now having experienced a little more of life, I found myself drawn to that image. After reading the Maggid of Mezrich this week, an 18th century rabbi and storyteller, who describes the ladder by bringing us a parable of a king who once sent his sons to a distant land. So the king sends his sons to a land where people would come to build their own business. And he gave each one of his sons money to start a firm. But on the way in this parable, bandits came and robbed the sons of all of their funds. And so in the end, each one of the sons had to labor to climb back up, cutting wood, drawing water, whatever might provide sustenance. The sons did this for some time until one thought to himself, "Now, wait a minute. Let me reduce a little of my spending on food so that I'll have some money to build a business." And he followed a plan. He saved 10 pieces of gold every week and eventually turned that money into 20 every week. And then he took that 20 pieces of gold that he would make each week, and he saved some of it, and he turned it into 100 gold pieces. And each time, he would take some of his money and do more deals, eventually no longer having to cut wood or draw water. The only thing was he had to make some sacrifices and limit his personal expenditures. But all of his efforts paid off, because eventually he had over 1,000 gold pieces and continued doing business, rising from one rung to the next, one level to another, until he acquired over 500,000 gold pieces. That was rich. And then he said, "Let me see how my brothers are doing." And he went to see his brothers, and he met them, and he found that they were still engaged in manual labor, cutting wood and drawing water. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I have so much money, they have none. I'm going to give them a significant amount of money." And so in short order, they too were rich. But the Maggid of Mezrich concludes there's a big difference between the first son who made the money through sacrifice and the other ones that got it all at once. He says there are those who make their way up step by step, climbing the ladder until they reach a great height. And then there are those who reach the top of the ladder with one giant leap. And the difference is the one who climbs up step by step enjoys many different pleasures along the way. Each rung contains something different, whereas the one who leaps all at once does not. He then says, number two, there's another big difference. The one who climbs the ladder step by step, rung by rung, well, when they fall from one height to the next, they can catch themselves. And they can actually find that they can live at the lower level until they've gathered enough strength to reach up and climb again. Because they've been there before. They've been on that lower rung. Something that the other sons could not do. And third, the one who ascends the ladder rung by rung not only knows they've been there before, but they know that after they've fallen, that they can still reach the higher rung. They know they can climb back again and ascend again. And so is true of life, said the Maggid. It's better to live life rung by rung, sometimes going up, and yes, sometimes going down. But at each moment, knowing that each rung is part of the journey. Sometimes looking down, you can see how far you've climbed. And sometimes after falling, you can look up and know you can climb once again. But in each moment, wherever you are on that ladder, there is something to observe, something to see, something to learn, whatever life brings. And you need to remember you can do it. Wherever you are, you can grab on to that next rung. You can steady yourself and ascend to the heavens. Ya'amod, Ya'amod, Ya'amod. We chant every Shabbat as one becomes b'mitzvah, and we'll do it tomorrow morning. I remember the cantor chanting it 41 years ago. Cantor Roy Einhorn stood on that bima, and he called me to the Torah with the words, Ya'amod, Ya'amod, Ya'amod. Yoel ben Shmuel Vefega. I called to the Torah. Joel, the son of Phyllis and Sam, the grandson of Hyman and Jean and Mary and Harry, and many generations of climbers before them. I call to the Torah, the inheritor of a sacred tradition, a tradition that reminds us that we are climbers, that despite life's challenges, through Torah and ritual and prayer and community and friendship, we ascend. That's why there's a ladder on our building. That is what makes this a sacred place. This is a house of God. This is a Beit Elohim. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos.
I can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying, you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaken, but I gotta keep trying, gotta keep my head held high. There isn't another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move, always gonna be an uphill battle, sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most, yeah. Just gotta keep going, and I gotta be strong. Just keep on pushing on, 'cause there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move, always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't I get there ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. There's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Yeah.
Thank you, Cantor. You're getting a lot of heart taps on Zoom as I'm watching. Let us continue with the words of Mourner's Kaddish in the sanctuary and on Zoom. We're going to once again do this together. And so in the sanctuary, we're going to invite those who are observing a yahrzeit or currently within the period of mourning to please rise if you would and recite the names, perhaps the relationships of those individuals you're thinking of. And on Zoom, if you can use the chat room to record those names of those individuals you're remembering. And let me add those who have passed in the past 30 days, relatives of members of our community. David Kuskin, the father of Naomi Kuskin. Ronald Rozoff, the brother of Charmin Rosen and the father of Jessica Katz. Sandy Sapphire, the sister-in-law of Richard Sapphire, the aunt of Doug Sapphire. Martin Shapiro, the father of Jennifer Chisholm. Zachary Adam Wall, the grandson of Stuart Kleeman and Terry Kleeman. Sheldon Winehouse, the father of Dave Winehouse, and Sarita Zell, not yet interred, but we mourn her on this day, the mother of Brian Zell, the grandmother of Cantor Zell. I've also been asked to recite the names of Sylvia Schneier, who is not yet interred, the grandmother of Scott Joseph. And in support of all the mourners in our midst, I invite you to rise in the sanctuary. And on Zoom, let's place the words on the screen. In the sanctuary, they're on page 598. Cantor, will you lead us in these words? Oh, we have the wrong words on the screen. Now they're correct.
Vit kadal, vit kadash, me rabah.
Amen.
Bialma divra hirte.
Yamlich Malchute. B'chayachon, Yomechon, V'chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala Vizman Kariv Imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehesh me rabah mevarach, Bilam u'me almaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yithalal, shemech d'kudsha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushachata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehesh lama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen.
Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
So before we conclude with Kiddush and Motzi, you may be seated. A few announcements. There is a lot going on, so I hope that you will check your email. The Maccabees are coming very soon on Sunday, December 5th. And so please sign up so we know that you are coming. It's going to be an extraordinary day, beginning with the Dreidel Dash 5K run or walk. And so if you want to join us, if you want to, you should join us to celebrate Hanukkah on Sunday, December 5th. I see here there's a 70s trivia night. I don't know anything about the 70s trivia night. It's coming up on tomorrow night, so join us for a 70s trivia night. But if you want to join us on Monday night, I'm teaching a class on minhagim, on customs. This week we're going to be exploring customs of Hanukkah, and I learned this week that there's a custom on Hanukkah to eat dairy. So if you are interested in exploring that and many other customs, I hope that you will join us on Monday night. Cantor, Kiddush.
Yes, I would be delighted to offer Kiddush with you. If you're in the sanctuary,
Or
we're
I
on
can lead
page
it. That's fine,
123.
too.
No, we're
So let's
together. I
rise in the
think-
sanctuary, but
I
on
think Josh is
Zoom,
gonna
if
do
you
this.
can find a Kiddush cup, because
We're all
on Zoom we
together.
have many people
all good.
holding a Kiddush cup.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav banu, b'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Gabby, come on up. You've got an important job.
You know what? You've been tested, yeah? Okay, you can take off your mask with me. We're going to be doing this in just a couple hours. So if you can uncover our challah, and if you want to even lift up that plate, my dear, you want to join me in these words? We'll do it together, okay? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz v'te'avon. Gabriella, will you take a little bite of that? If you are allowed to eat challah, take a little bite.
And then on Zoom, we're going to open up the microphone so they can wish each other Shabbat Shalom,
We
and in
can,
the sanctuary.
On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.